How do adult children feel about their parents getting reverse mortgages? Hi, my name is Jason Eichmiller, and in a second we're going to cut to an interview I did with Maureen, who's an attorney who we actually helped her mom get a reverse mortgage about 3 or 4 years ago. So long story pretty short, and Maureen will kind of expand on it a little bit, but Maureen's mom was living by herself. She's a widow. She lived in a really big house. She lived there for a very long time, had a lot of memories and experiences tied up in that home, and she was very proud of the way it was kept up. But now, in her late 80s, she was having a real tough time with the maintenance, and she couldn't afford to pay somebody to continuously keep up the home to her standards. And then, of course, she had her senior living expenses like taxes and homeowners insurance and grocery bill. So she needed cash to pay the taxes. She needed the cash really to supplement her piggy bank. And for her mindset, she needed a reverse mortgage to keep the house up in that perfect condition that she's always had it. So, all right, we're going to cut to Maureen in a second. But in the meantime, if you have any questions or if you'd like to see how a reverse mortgage would work for your parents or yourself if you're a senior, feel free to just either click that Learn More button that's right below, or you can call me personally at 888-309-9705. Again, 888-309-9705. All right, so without further ado, here is my interview with Maureen.
All right, I am here with Maureen, who is nice enough to come on and just give me some of her thoughts about a reverse mortgage. And long story kind of short, although I'm sure we'll get into it, was about 3 or 4 years ago. I helped her mom get a reverse mortgage, and Maureen was really instrumental in helping with the communication and vetting of everything. So I feel like, Maureen, since you were pretty familiar with how it worked and you were kind of the driving force behind it, wanted to get you on and just kind of get your thoughts on kind of how it worked.
Happy to be here.
Sweet, sweet. So I guess first, tell me what led to either your mom considering a reverse mortgage or you looking into a reverse for your mom?
Yeah, so my mom is now 88 years old, and she had reached a point a few years ago where she really, really wanted to stay in the family home that we all grew up in, and did no longer had the means really to afford it. The mortgage was paid off, but she had expensive taxes. She had some deferred maintenance that needed to be done, and she just didn't see a path to staying in the house. And that's when I had suggested the reverse mortgage.
Gotcha. When you were looking into the reverse, what other options did you kind of like consider, if anything?
Well, you know, we took a very detailed look at income that was coming in to her other than potential reverse mortgage payments. And we just saw a shortfall there, that the only tool that was going to be able to make up for that would be the reverse mortgage.
Gotcha. Did you ever consider like kind of banding together and kind of helping her out of your pockets? Was that ever a consideration? Was just like that's just not possible?
You know, my mom's case was a little unique in that her home was actually the subject of a lawsuit. She did have a family member who kind of coerced her, more than they coerced her into signing the deed over to them in exchange for them promising to pay for her expenses. And within a very short time, that didn't work out for obvious reasons. So, so that was clearly not a good plan.
Yeah, I remember going through that and thinking like, God, there's some people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. So when you were looking at the reverse, like what were some of your concerns about it? Like, did you have any? Because I know there's so much so many misconceptions out there, and I'm sure you probably heard some of it.
Yeah, so just some background. I am an attorney, and there is a lot of confusion out there about reverse mortgages. And actually, when I brought the idea up to my mother, she had several friends say, well, I heard you just never do that, never, ever, ever do that. So that was a little frustrating. And for me, the hardest part was getting clarity. I had called several people who provided reverse mortgages, and I was just getting half information. And I needed a really detailed, complete picture of how this transaction would work, what my mother would be left with, what options we had for maybe taking some money out up front to pay for some deferred maintenance, what she would be left with on a monthly basis. I needed real specifics. And it was actually when I was put in touch with you. I was working with an attorney in Pennsylvania, and he called me and said, you know, I ran into Jason, spoke with him, and I think this would be a great person for you to connect with. And so you and I spoke, and that was really the first time that I got that clarity, that specificity that I was looking for. And then of course the level of comfort that I was also looking for.
I appreciate that. Thank you. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. There are so many layers of this, especially, I mean, it can be simple for some folks, but when you have kind of a complex situation, 10,000 foot is good, and it's needed to know where you'll be, but you have to dive into the details. Really do have to know. I know your mind as an attorney, it kind of works that way. And I know when I'm looking into new things, I'm like, okay, the idea sounds great. All right, what's behind door number 2? Let's
Right.
learn it all. So then we can make a good decision, and there's no surprises. Not a big surprise fan. I don't think you are.
Right. No, I really needed it all laid out because this was part of a bigger picture, as I had mentioned briefly. It was, you know, it was part of a settlement of a lawsuit, and this was one piece of the puzzle. In order for my mom to get the house back and to be able to live in it, I needed to know that this was going to work. This was going to be able to be put in place, and that it was going to work. And I don't know if you recall, but there were a lot of pieces you had to put together for this to work. Yeah. My mom was not leaving her home. She was not an internet user. Just the closing was a feat. Because, but you accommodated her, and so all the other little pieces that you ran around and accomplished was really instrumental in getting this thing in place.
It's awesome. I really appreciate it. Yeah, like we have. Yeah, your mom is, you know, her situation is unique, but like I do have lots of other folks, people who get this for home health care reasons, or they can't really get out and do anything. So it's kind of up to us as I guess you say, the service provider to do everything that we can. I mean, we got to get the stuff that we got to get, and the FHA oversees it all and says you have to do A, B, C. But been at it a while, so whatever we could do, I could do to like make it easier for her. I'm glad it really worked.
Yeah, I think one of the most joyous moments for her, I mean, obviously she's getting this monthly income, but she lived in this home for over 50 years and she kept it impeccable, but there was some deferred maintenance, like that the exterior of the home really needed to be painted. Her garage doors were not shutting properly. So when she was able, through this reverse mortgage, to get some proceeds up front to pay for those repairs, she was just so thrilled that her home was finally painted. So it was like that instant joy that she had. And then to know that she was going to be able to get some money each month to cover those ongoing costs, the taxes, the her utilities and so forth that needed to be paid in order for her to stay in the house.
It's really cool. It's really cool. Yeah, that's the way we designed it. They say different strokes for different folks, and you really do. Like, I'm sure you remember I asked you a bazillion questions about not only what our challenges were, but like, okay, once I realized that we could, working together, we could get this done. Okay, how can we make this as perfect as possible for your mom? So we had to kind of tweak it a little bit, but man, I'm glad. So she's happy now? Tell me about mom right now.
She's very happy. She's 88 now. She's had a few medical struggles, but she's in her home. It's where her comfort and security is. She's been able to manage it fine. One of the things I really liked is she gets a monthly statement that updates her on exactly where her loan is at, and her only administrative obligation is once a year she signs a certification that she continues to live in the home, and she sends that in, and that's really it. It's otherwise it's all just on autopilot. There's nothing she needs to do or report or have an appraiser come out or anything like that on an annual basis. The loan just proceeds without any administrative work.
That's important because she's living by herself. You're in a different state. You can't be. You're pretty on top of it. I'll tell you that, Maureen. You're pretty good there. But if she had to do X, Y, and Z every single year, or if an appraiser would come out to say like, okay, well, is the house still in good shape? That would make things difficult. So it just kind of like once it's done, kind of goes on autopilot, and she's set.
Yeah. And she's a fussy person. So, now even though she's in the home most of the time, she can look out in her garden and see that she was able to continue to have her lawn guy come out and trim the bushes and keep up the yard and things like that. And that was not possible before the reverse mortgage was put in place. So
it's her home,
Yeah, I mean, she's really joyful about it.
That's cool. Yeah, there's some people who kind of treat their home as a house. Like, okay, I live here, my socks are here, my yard's unkept, whatever. And if that's perfectly fine. But for her house is really like her home. So many memories there. Like you say, I remember visiting her. Like she keeps her house up so nice. So being able to keep it up the way she wants it and the way she envisions it and the way she remembers it from times kind of ago. It's really cool. It's really nice.
Right. Yeah.
So I guess my last question is, if somebody is watching this and looking into a reverse mortgage, what advice would you give them? Like questions to ask or things to do?
So for me, when I was starting this whole process out, I wanted some assurance that I wanted a clear understanding of what is the formula for how they value the home. As far as I should say a loan to value, so that you understand how much money can be borrowed, and understanding, can she have payments that will continue for the remainder of her life versus a set period of time. So in other words, what are the options? How much can be borrowed? What are the payout options that would be available? And obviously you want to know, what are the fees? Are they paid up front? Are they paid over the life of the loan? And what is the timing of closing?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it works a lot like a conventional mortgage in the process, not in what it does, but the process of putting it in place is similar to a conventional mortgage.
Yeah, I feel like people sometimes, I mean, there's what complicates reverses from like our end when we're diving into it is that there's so many different options for you, like on the ways you can take your money. But once you realize like, okay, I can take money this way, that way, or another way, which regular mortgages can't do. No regular mortgage can give you annuity style payments for the rest of your life, no matter how long you live. But once you get past that, it really is just try to get people to think about it as, hey, this is just another mortgage. You get some money out of your house. The only big difference between it is that you don't have to make payments every single month. If you want to, good stuff. Some people do. Most people decide that they're just like your mom, money is better in her pockets than some random mortgage company's pockets. That's it.
Right. She needed a specific amount of money in each month in order to stay in the house. So that's how the loan was set up. And you were able to find a loan where she could take out, I don't know how much it was, you know, it was somewhere around 10,000 up front, maybe 15,000 up front for some of those deferred costs. And the other thing that you were able to do is the fees for this mortgage were financed through the mortgage. So she wasn't diving into her bank account to pay those fees. They were rolled into the mortgage.
Yeah, like the way I think, I mean, yes, she had to pay for an appraisal. Yes, she has to pay for a counseling. So there's
that's right. But
that's nominal credit stuff.
Yeah.
Credit card. The bigger stuff. Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, we do this because people need money for the most part. So to say, okay, all right, Marianne, write a big check to get money down the road. That just doesn't work with me.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. The appraisal was nominal, and then there was the counseling. I forgot about the counseling.
Yeah. It's a formality. Like once you go through this process, like whether it's with me or like somebody else, you should know enough to where the counselor, you're just bored at the counseling conversation because you already know the details behind the loan. That's all. They're out to reiterate it and just to make sure that somebody like me doesn't come in and say, oh, look, it's free money. You never have to pay it back.
Exactly. Yeah. And, you know, she got through the counseling, actually was no big deal. And she kind of breezed through that. We were on the phone together. That's how it worked because, you know, my mom is not tech savvy. So I just conferenced her into the call and we got on with the counselor. And the counselor read through questions and asked my mom, do you understand? And she said yes. And it was pretty easy. I think it was maybe 30 or 40 minutes long. So it was not an onerous thing. No.
I had 100, this was maybe 6 months ago or so, a 103-year-old lady completed it just fine by herself. People it's funny. Yeah, people get intimidated by the counseling, like, oh my God, they're going to grade me or tell me if I can get this or not.
Yes.
Yeah, they just want to make sure that you understand. And as soon as they'll ask a couple questions, but as soon as you understand, like your mom did, like, hey, this isn't rocket science. I'm getting some money, it's taking care of my taxes. I have to stay in my house and actually keep it as my primary residence. That's it. When I die, it gets paid back through a sale or through a refinance. Okay.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, they get it. They're able to do it. Cool. Any final thoughts? Had you on this for a while.
Well, I guess my final thoughts to anyone who's listening to this is I have used you as a resource since we put the loan in place. I've called you periodically about the different questions, things I'm running past you, ideas, and you always take my call. We have a great conversation, and I just think you've been a tremendous resource for my mom, for our family, and really were able to walk us through this process at a time when we were all in desperate need of some help. So I am very grateful to you for your professionalism, your knowledge, and your willingness, because this was not a fun one, I'm sure, for you, but we got it done. So
Hey, it's fun. It's fun when it gets done.
Yeah.
And who says it? Without the sour, there can be no sweet. I don't know if I believe that 100%, but it was sweet getting it done. No, Maureen,
It was.
Yeah, you're wonderful. Your mom is awesome. So please tell her I say hi.
I will. Yeah.
Really
Good.
appreciate both of you and appreciate you for your trust. It's really nice. All right, so that is our interview. If you're watching this now and if you'd like to learn more about how a reverse mortgage works, then you can always reach out to me. And again, my name is Jason Eichmiller, and you can get me at toll-free number 888-309-9705, or just email me, jason.e@reversemortgagereality.com. And thanks so much for watching. And Maureen and her mom are just awesome people.